Improve Your Thinking. Episode 1. The Knowledge Illusion.
Welcome back to Improve Your Thinking. I'm your host, Kevin Brown. In today's episode, I want to pick up on a quote that I mentioned from last time by Ian Leslie in his very interesting book, Curious. He says, "To feel curious, you have to be aware of a gap in your knowledge in the first place. The trouble is, most of us, most of the time, go around thinking we know everything." This is very nicely illustrated in a book by Stephen Sloman and Philip Fernbach titled The Knowledge Illusion. We tend to recognize the limits of other people's knowledge while failing to recognize our own limits. Here's a very interesting example from the book. On a scale of 1 to 7, 1 meaning not at all and 7 meaning completely, how well do you understand how zippers work? Now, how does a zipper work? Describe in as much detail as you can all the steps involved in a zipper's operation. If you're like most people, you rated your understanding of question 1 as very high. But if you're like most of those people, you discovered in step 2 that you were virtually incapable of explaining in any sort of detail how a zipper actually worked. This is the knowledge illusion. As they point out in the book, our point is not that people are ignorant, it's that people are more ignorant than they think they are. We all suffer to a greater or lesser extent from an illusion of understanding, an illusion that we understand how things work when in fact our understanding is meager. Please understand that I'm not sharing this with you to make you feel bad. I'm sharing this to point out a crucial insight that will help you deal with real-world issues and to encourage you to cultivate an important critical thinking disposition, intellectual humility. What does any of this have to do with real-world issues? Well, take the example above about the zipper. Now, instead of asking about how a zipper works, substitute some political, ethical, or moral issue: abortion, capital punishment, immigration, cloning, climate change, etc. See the problem? If you're like most people, you have an opinion on these issues. You think your opinion is well-founded and backed up with knowledge and facts. You're also suffering from what they call the illusion of explanatory depth. You think your knowledge of the issue is deeper than it really is. Don't believe me? Try it. Let's consider a timely, contentious issue, like abortion. Set aside your position on abortion for a moment and consider just how much you know about this issue. Ask a few questions. What are the 3 most important Supreme Court rulings on abortion? What's the central argument in Roe v. Wade, and what does it specifically imply about abortions? What percentage of women each year who become pregnant have an abortion? What's the breakdown in terms of trimesters for abortion? How many in each trimester? What laws are states able to pass regarding abortion? What are the central philosophical arguments relevant to this issue, both the pro-life and the pro-choice positions? Are you able to answer each of these questions in sufficient detail? And these are just a few of the questions you'd need to answer to claim you have an in-depth knowledge on the abortion issue. If you're unable to answer these questions, then what exactly is your stance on abortion, whatever it is, based on? Now consider all the other philosophical, ethical, and moral issues we could consider in this way. Each one entails a depth of knowledge that most people simply don't have. But most of those people have strong opinions on each of those issues. So what should we do about this problem? Well, there are several options we could consider. Let's look at 3 of them. 1. Start now and learn as much as you can about all of these issues. The trouble here, of course, is that you simply don't have enough time to do this. No one does. There's too much to master and too little time. 2. Continue to do what you've always done. Have your opinions and express them. What difference does it make if you know or not? It's what you feel about these issues that matters. The problem here is it does make a difference. What if you're wrong and your push for a solution to the issue is a push towards action that just makes things worse? 3. Drop out of the game altogether. Don't have opinions, and if you do have them, don't express them. Don't participate at all in civic life. Don't vote. The problem with this choice is that we need people to participate in civil society. In a participatory democracy, a representative republic, we need people to vote, advocate, inquire, and be a check on politicians. People need to be able to hold their representatives accountable for their actions, and in order to do that, they have to know something about the issues. 4. Cultivate intellectual humility. Learn what you can, but recognize that you won't be able to be an expert on all of these issues. Also recognize that you share the same problem with everyone else. Encourage others to see that the limits of your knowledge are the same as the limits of their knowledge. As Julia Galef advocates in her book, The Scout Mindset, hold your beliefs lightly. Don't be so sure of your own beliefs that you can't or won't listen to others. Be a person that works for dialogue and discussion. See the common ground between you and those who hold different opinions. Of course you can express your opinions and argue for them passionately, but be prepared and open to seeing other views and seriously consider them as well. Another interesting perspective on this is offered by Adam Grant in his book Think Again, The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know, where he says, "Who you are should be a question of what you value, not what you believe. Values are your core principles in life. They might be excellence and generosity, freedom and fairness, or security and integrity. Basing your identity on these kinds of principles enables you to remain open-minded about the best ways to advance them. You want the doctor whose identity is protecting health, the teacher whose identity is helping students learn, and the police chief whose identity is promoting safety and justice. When they define themselves by values rather than opinion, they buy themselves the flexibility to update their practices in light of new evidence." Given that we all suffer to one degree or another from the knowledge illusion, that means that all of us could update our knowledge. When we do so, we should also update our beliefs in light of this new evidence. Will we? Sloman and Fernbach's book, The Knowledge Illusion, is subtitled Why We Never Think Alone. I think this provides another useful insight into how we should go about discussing contentious issues. Instead of being an advocate for a position where you defend that position against all objections, we need to try to engage in a cooperative investigation where we try to figure out together what's really going on and what the best course of action would be to solve problems. That's also what Julia Galef means by her example of the scout mindset. She contrasts this with what she calls the soldier mindset. In a soldier mindset, reasoning is like defensive combat, whereas for the scout mindset, reasoning is like map making. In a soldier mindset, finding out you're wrong means suffering a defeat, whereas for the scout mindset, finding out you're wrong means revising your map. In the soldier mindset, you seek out evidence to fortify and defend your beliefs. In the scout mindset, you seek out evidence that will make your map more accurate. Cultivating a scout mindset requires intellectual humility. You can't be so sure of your ideas that you're unable to admit to being wrong. I'm going to talk more about being wrong in a future episode. For now, I'll leave you with this thought from the Knowledge Illusion book. The authors point out that it's extremely easy to disabuse people of their illusion. You merely have to ask them for an explanation. Doing this for a simple item like a zipper makes people more open to admitting that they don't know as much as they think they know about larger, more contentious issues. And that makes it much easier to engage in a useful dialogue instead of a heated argument. And isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we need? If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and visit me online at kevinjbrown.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.